It is extremely difficult for lens manufacturers to bring out new lenses and find gaps in the market. But I believe Cine may have just done this exact thing with their brand new Sniper series lenses. In this video, we're going to compare them to other available lenses, find out what's good and not so good about them, and talk about what actually makes them different. Expectations. I think when it comes to lenses, this is something that is not as straightforward as we may think. When it comes to buying a brand new camera, you do not expect the $2,000 Sony camera to have more dynamic range than a $100,000 Arri Alexa 35. But when it comes to purchasing lenses, the $2,000 Sony G Master lens is probably sharper with more features than say a $30,000 Arri Signature Prime. Now, before you go jumping down below in the comments saying that an Arri Signature Prime looks way better than a Sony G Master, I totally agree. And this is more to my point. This is a bit of oversimplification, but what I'm saying here is what makes a lens great for photographers does not make the same lens great for video. When it comes to creating cinematic video, it is all about the lens's character and personality, and this is where the new Cine lenses come in. But it is much better for me to show you than tell you, so let's jump in. Housekeeping up first, and Cine did send me these lenses to review, but they do not get to see this video before you do. They have no input in me creating it, and I'm going to tell you all the negative stuff as well as the good stuff. So these lenses come in a 5-lens kit. The two ones I'm testing today are the new focal lengths they have just added, which is the 16mm and the 75mm. These are APS-C size lenses, so no full frame coverage, and I would say the biggest kind of headline selling feature is an aperture of f1.2. The design of these lenses is definitely different, and I've got to say that I absolutely love them. I've been seeing this kind of ripping up the design book across a few different products in the filmmaking industry, and I am here for it. I just love to see different products instead of the same old design rinsed over and over again, and it makes your BTS images look a lot better. They do come in a carry case. This is pretty decent, but it's not like a hard case or a hard shell. But that said, at this price point, you normally don't get a carry case at all, so this is definitely a bonus. The size and weight of these lenses is definitely light and small. I would say these balance absolutely perfect on something the size of like an FX30, but they're also really nice to put on much bigger bodies. I've been testing these out on my Sony Bravano, and the results and balance and usability has been fantastic. Continuing with that unusual design though, the ones I have here are in the black, but they are also available in silver and white, and it's just good to have options, good to make things interesting instead of the same old kind of Lumix, Sony or Canon looking lens, which all, to be honest, look the same. These come in an E mount, X mount and Z mount, and while we're here we may as well talk about the AF. The ones I got in for review are an E mount, so I've been testing them on Sony cameras, and I've got to say that the AF is fantastic. I can't really tell the difference between these Cine lenses and my Sony G and G Master lenses, which is a massive compliment. It is worth noting though that I have only been testing these lenses for video, so the jury is still out on how good they are for photography. Something these lenses have got that I've not personally seen before is they have a USB-C port built right into the bottom of the lens mount. My initial thought here, if I'm being honest, is could this be a point of compromise for the build quality? I was thinking maybe water could get in there and stop the electronics from working, but then I had to remind myself of smartphones. Smartphones are some of the best built tech devices in the whole world, and those have an exposed USB-C port right on the bottom. So taking this into consideration, I actually really love this idea, and I would love to see all the other mainstream lens manufacturers adding this on, as then it would be super easy to do updates to the AF system inside of the lenses. Right, so just before we jump into the image quality, if you are enjoying this video, then a sub to the channel would be incredible. For lenses that are electronic with AF features, the image quality is quite unique and pretty fantastic for capturing video. In a world that chases perfection and super sharp and clean lenses and images, it is nice to see some lenses that have autofocus with character and personality. The best way to get my point across here would be to describe these lenses as cinema lenses, but with AF. They are not overly short but still have plenty of detail. The autofocus areas I would describe as busy. Where say a G Master lens is super smooth and clean in its autofocus areas, these lenses are much more textured and remind me much more of something you see from say a vintage or cinema lens. Remember, these are APS-C lenses, so no full frame coverage, but when you take them all the way down to f1.2, they do get a little bit dreamy, which I'm not personally a fan of, but again, some people may like that kind of bloomy look. Out of the two lenses I had, the 75mm was definitely star of the show and my personal favourite. I could just not get enough of shooting content on this lens. Overall though, when referring to the image quality, I think the sniper lenses may have found a little gap in the market when being really affordable, have really good AF and plenty of character and personality. Let's talk about some of the stuff that I think can be improved about these lenses. The lens hood that comes in the packaging with it feels really cheap, and I think if I'm being nitpicky, I believe this could have been manufactured just a little bit better. But overall, I think the build quality of these lenses is pretty damn good for the price. I did accidentally drop my 16mm from about waist height onto the floor. It's scuffed and marked the plastic outer body, but the lens works and functions perfectly. My next negative point would be manual focus. These lenses are not really aimed at doing manual focus, they are not geared or anything like that, and it kind of feels that way. It is quite numb when twisting the focus ring, and it's hard to repeat any movements and gain any muscle memory. What I will say here though is Cine do have some really similar priced Cine lenses which are geared, and I would bet my bottom dollar that these have really similar optical performance. My final gripe about these lenses is simply that there is no L-mount version. We've all seen how great Lumix's video capabilities have got recently, and also how good their AF system is. These lenses are almost a match made in heaven for capturing slow motion on the S5 II when it crops in, so if anyone from Cine is watching, please give us an L-mount version. Overall, I'm super impressed with these lenses. When it comes to capturing cinematic video and storytelling, they are very, very good. It is just like someone has taken a vintage lens and given it fantastic AF at a super low price point. But none of this really matters unless you are using the high-end technique that most cinematographers are using to expose. And to find out what that secret is, watch this video here.